Good afternoon and welcome to your news on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shehan Nanathunga. First up, let's take a look at your headlines.
Group arrested during Aragalaya commemoration to be produced in court. Cabinet proposal on reverting Sri Lanka to low-income status. Public sector laments on high cost of living. Delivers letter to the President. Sri Lanka Army celebrates 73 years with a record number of promotions. Aeroflot resumes flights to Sri Lanka after 4-month absence.
Now your top story. 5 people who were arrested while protesting in Galface continue to be detained at the Fort Police Station in Colombo.
A 16-year-old boy who was among those arrested was released on Sunday night. However, the other will be produced in court on Monday. Members of the Aragalaya had gathered at Galface Green on Sunday to remember those who died during the struggle for change. However, Sri Lanka police intervened to stop the protest from taking place before it even began. Thereafter, several protesters were detained. General Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Union, Joseph Starling, visited the National Child Protection Authority to file a complaint. This was against the injustice caused to those who were present at the protest in Galface with their children.
We saw how the police acted in front of children. We saw how they tried to remove a child from the mother. They also arrested a 15-year-old school student for recording a video. Is this how the police must act in a protest site? If the National Child Protection Authority is an entity that stands for children, what will it do about this cruel treatment of the police to children? Sri Lankan attorney Nuwan Bopage elaborated on the future of the Aragalaya. The message sent from the Galface struggle is that the power is with the people. If the people take to the streets, the society can change. That is how an ever-powerful executive president was removed from power. Everything else will also take place like that. We need to take this power into our hands in order to steer this to a good direction. That doesn't mean the idolization of one person. We must become citizens who exercise democracy on a daily basis. Only that can provide an answer. Instead of going to the polling booths on a single day, we must exercise democracy by having conversations. We will spread this. Aragalaya activist Jihan Appuhami commented on the proposed Rehabilitation Bureau. Namal Rajapaksa mentioned about this some time back and referred to the rehabilitation of the youth. An act is being prepared for the establishment of a rehabilitation bureau. This is to forcefully detain and medicate people. The president will be given the power to move these premises to the Sri Lanka Army at any given time. We are heading back to the 88-89 era.
Now in other news, the annual meetings of the boards of governors of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group will commence in Washington, D.C., USA on Monday.
The annual meetings of the Board of Governors of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group will continue until the 16th of October. Sri Lanka has decided to send an 8-member delegation to attend the annual meetings. The delegation is led by Acting Finance Minister Shehan Semasinghe. The Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the Finance Secretary and several others will accompany him.
Former JVP local government member Namal Karunaratne commented on the IMF conditions.
The
IMF has promised to give us loans. However, that too is uncertain now due to various issues. One condition is that there has been corruption in Sri Lanka and no proper management, and these need to be stopped. The government has accepted that it committed theft.
දැන් පාලනය කරන එවුනුයි පට්ටපල් හොරු කියලා මුම් පිළියලන් ඉවරයි.
In the meantime, Sri Lanka is planning on affirming a proposal to revert from a middle-income country to a low-income country.
The Sri Lankan Cabinet of Ministers on Monday will likely take up a proposal for Sri Lanka to revert from a middle-income country to a low-income country. This is with the aim of obtaining concessionary funding from the International Development Association, an arm of the World Bank, which helps the world's poorest and most vulnerable countries. The decision has been taken after considering the financial constraints, including lack of foreign reserves, inflation, and difficulty in meeting debt payments. The government also has taken into consideration the claim that some former officials had manipulated figures to push Sri Lanka to a middle-income country. The move effectively will mean that Sri Lanka will be seeking a reverse graduation to IDA on the grounds that the country lacks creditworthiness to borrow on market terms, including from the International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, the lending arm of the World Bank, and therefore requires concessional resources to finance the country's development programs.
Now, following controversy over grounded aircraft by its government, Russia's Aeroflot resumed services to Sri Lanka on Monday.
With the arrival of an Aeroflot flight on Monday to the Katunayake International Airport, the Moscow-Colombo route will be reinstated on conditions being promised by the Sri Lankan government that none of its planes will be grounded or arrested. On the 2nd of July 2022, Su-289 A330343 aircraft was scheduled to depart from Colombo to Moscow with 191 passengers and 13 crew members, but it was not allowed as the owner of the aircraft, Celestial Aviation of Ireland, had filed a case against the airline for pending arbitration on the lease of the aircraft in London. Following the legal dispute, Aeroflot also announced that it was suspending commercial flights between Colombo and Moscow. Aeroflot is the oldest international airline that operated flights to Colombo, and it has been operating the Moscow-Colombo route since 1964.
Now, several public sector trade unions handed over a letter to the Ministry of Finance today requesting state sector employees be given an allowance.
In the letter, public sector trade unions urged the government to provide concessions to the people who are battered by the high cost of living. Trade unionists representing All Ceylon Development Officers Association, Government Family Health Services Association, United Development Officers Centre, State and Provincial Government Management Service Officers, Trade Union Confederation and United Health Services Association were present.
News First with the people.
Now, in other news, the Federation of Health Professionals warned that if the retirement age of one particular profession is extended, it would protest against such decisions.
The Federation for Health Professionals in a statement said that the government had reached a policy decision to bring down the retirement age of all public sector employees to 60 years. It notes that reports have revealed an attempt being made by a cabinet subcommittee to reverse this decision for one particular profession in the health sector. The Federation for Health Professionals strongly condemns the attempts being made to completely disregard its contribution towards implementing the policies of the government. The Federation for Health Professionals warned that trade union action will be inevitable if the Cabinet of Ministers decided to reach a decision that will not treat all health sector professionals in an equal manner. Around 20 trade unions representing health professionals had signed the letter requesting that the retirement age policy not be reversed. Meanwhile, Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira has taken steps to call a special discussion regarding the urea fertilizer tender for procurement under the credit given by the World Bank for paddy cultivation in the upcoming season. The minister said the discussion will take place with the participation of the parliamentarians from the government and the opposition and representatives from trade unions. The purpose of the discussion is to identify the shortcomings in the system of purchasing urea fertilizer and to collect ideas and suggestions with regard to the program. The minister said this discussion is scheduled to be held at the Ministry of Agriculture in Battaramulla on Tuesday morning.
On day 6 of the Gam at the Door-to-Door program, the issues faced by rural Sri Lankans in the Kilinochchi, Polonnaruwa and Ratnapura districts were documented along with the University of Peradeniya.
Gammedda Gaingetter.
Day 6 of the 6th edition of the Gum at the Door-to-Door program is taking place in the Kilinochchi, Polonnaruwa and Ratnapura districts with the objective of identifying the primary issues that hinder the lives of the local population. The team touring Kilinochchi district visited the Malayampura area in the Karachi Divisional Secretariat. The prevailing economic crisis has resulted in unemployment in the area. The villagers told Newsfirst that providing daily meals to their families has become a difficult task as day labour does not come by often these days. Gum at the teams in the Polonnaruwa district visited the Namal Gama in the Valikanda Divisional Secretariat this morning. Agriculture is the main livelihood of these people who are battered by the economic crisis. Adding to their woes, wild elephants from the Maduroe Reserve destroy their cultivation in a single night. Gum and the teams in the Ratnapura district visited Udanguda in the Valigampola Divisional Secretariat this morning. People in the area do not have the luxury of enjoying cell phone services as the area lacks the basic facilities. Unlike most areas in Sri Lanka, children in the area do not have access to online education.
Gammedda Gaingetter.
Now today, the Sri Lanka Army marks its 73 years of illustrious forward march since its inception as the proud protector of the state. In a statement, Lieutenant General Bikum Lienage, the commander of the army, said the prime responsibility of the Sri Lankan Army is to identify the threats to national security and protect the constitution and democracy in the country.
Formed in 1949, the Sri Lanka Army has dedicatedly served the nation for 73 years and enters a new chapter laced with innovation and empowered with success. Over the past 7 decades, the Army has consistently transformed itself to become a fully fledged capacity-based fighting force infused with state-of-the-art combat technology. In addition, the Army continues to make a colossal contribution in humanitarian and disaster relief operations. The Sri Lanka Army also played a leading role in countering the spread of COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. Further, the Sri Lanka Army is instrumental in maintaining the peace among all communities in the Sri Lankan fabric, ensuring national security and contribute towards the development drive of the country.
ජාතිය ආරක්ෂකයා වශයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ යුද හමුදාව මේ වන විට ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ජනතාව
The Sri Lanka Army marks its 73 years of illustrious forward march since its inception as the proud protector of the state, continues to render an unparalleled service for safeguarding sovereignty, territorial integrity and unity of our beloved motherland. Over the past 73 years, many challenges were afoot. The Sri Lanka Army played a leading role to ensure that public security and territorial integrity is protected.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ යුද හමුදාව මූලික කාර්යභාරය ඉටු කළා.
A special event to mark the 73rd anniversary of the Sri Lanka Army took place at the Panagoda Army Camp on Monday morning.
Now further to the images you just witnessed, 372 officers of the Sri Lanka Army and a record 7,127 other ranks of the Army were promoted to their respective next rank on Army Day.
Accordingly, 5 brigadiers to the rank of Major General, 23 colonels to the rank of brigadier, 28 lieutenant colonels to the rank of colonel, 35 majors to the rank of lieutenant colonel, 125 captains to the rank of major, 63 lieutenants to the rank of captain, and 93 second lieutenants to the rank of lieutenant have thus been promoted in the officers category. In the category of other ranks, a total of 136 warrant officers 2 to the rank of warrant officer 1, 624 staff sergeants to the rank of warrant officer 2, 911 sergeants to the rank of staff sergeant, 1,250 corporals to the rank of sergeant, 2,199 lance corporals to the rank of corporal, and 2,007 privates to the rank of lance corporal have also been promoted. 5 senior brigadiers who have been elevated to the 2-star Major General rank in the Army include Brigadier Senaka Kasturimudali of Gamunuwatch, Brigadier Ranjan Jayasekara of Sri Lanka Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, Brigadier Janaka Priyadarshana of Mechanized Infantry Regiment, Brigadier Roshan Jayamana of Gamunuwatch, Brigadier Janaka Ranasinghe of Sri Lanka Artillery.
Now on to some news overseas. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has accused Ukraine of attacking the bridge to Russian-annexed Crimea, saying that it was an act of terrorism.
President Vladimir Putin said Ukraine's intelligence forces had aimed to destroy a critically important piece of Russia's civil infrastructure. He was speaking at a meeting with the head of the Investigative Committee of Russia, Alexander Bastrikin. Officials say 3 people were killed in the blast on the bridge. According to Russian officials, the victims were in a nearby car when a lorry blew up. Putin said, quote, "There is no doubt this is an act of terrorism aimed at destroying Russia's critical civilian infrastructure," end quote. According to the head of the Investigative Committee of Russia, investigators have established that the truck which they blew up traveled through Bulgaria, Georgia, Armenia, North Ossetia and Krasnodar territory. He has ordered an investigation into the incident which brought down sections of the roadway. Ukrainian officials have not indicated that their forces were behind the attack, but an advisor to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky denied Putin's accusations.
Now in other news, North Korea has said its recent barrage of missile launches were tactical nuclear drills personally overseen by the leader Kim Jong-un and a response to joint US-South Korea naval exercises.
North Korea carried out its 7th launch in 2 weeks when it fired 2 ballistic missiles early on Sunday morning. Showing the first pictures from the launch, state media reported Kim Jong-un guided the exercises, which involved ballistic missiles with mock nuclear warheads and were led by tactical nuclear operations units. The various tests simulated targeting military command facilities, striking main ports and airports in the south. According to media reports, the effectiveness and practical combat capability of our nuclear combat force were fully demonstrated as it stands completely ready to hit and destroy targets at any time from any location. North Korean leader has said, quote, "Even though the enemy continues to talk about dialogues and negotiations, we do not have anything to talk about, nor do we feel the need to do so," end quote. Kim Jong-un has long wanted to develop tactical nuclear weapons and made it a priority at a key party congress in January 2021.
And with that, we wrap up the news for now on TV1. The Newsfirst team, I'm Shehan Ranatunga. If you would like to be up to date with the latest news, do visit Newsfirst.lk or follow us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. Thank you for watching.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ News First YouTube channel එක අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග